At the north-central border of Oregon, on the Columbia River at the mouth of a valley called Alkali Canyon, sits a tiny community called Arlington. Seen here from the vantage of the docks of a marina, the Union Pacific Portland subdivision sends upwards of 25 trains a day past this location. Currently, an empty grain train headed for Eastport, Idaho, to be interchanged with the Canadian Pacific is hustling by. This train is en route from North Pacific Grain on the Columbia River in Columbia, Washington, to be loaded again in Canada. The turnaround time is about 96 hours from the time UP receives this train until it's handed back to a Canadian Pacific crew. Today is one of two recent railfan trips I took out along the intense high-volume routes provided by the easy grade of the Columbia River Gorge through what would be otherwise challenging terrain. The waters of this mighty river provide an interesting mix of leisure and commerce, as illustrated here at the Port of Arlington. Some of the bounty of the local farmlands is brought here to these silos on the edge of the water by truck. It is then loaded into barges, pushed by tugboats, and taken downriver. It is then exported globally from ports like Longview or Kalama. Hydroelectric dams tamed the river, making it possible to navigate goods by boat. Here is Arlington and the UP soon before waters filled it in by the John Day Dam project in 1967, which raised the water level 80 feet above the rails, requiring the largest line relocation project of the railroad up until then. 57.4 miles needed to be relaid, and the new railroad embankment could be seen to the right. The tracks veering off here to the south are the remaining portion of the Union Pacific's Condon Branch. When completed in 1905, the line ran 44 miles to the Gilliam County seat of Condon. In 1928, the short line Condon-Kinzua and Southern completed a line further south to Kinzua, where a large sawmill added forest products to the agricultural goods moving over UP's Condon Branch. Unfortunately, in 1978, the sawmill closed, and the railroad lost that revenue, and by the early 90s, UP was filing for abandonment of the branch. And most of the branch was ripped up in 1993, but for 11 miles of the line, salvation came in the form of waste disposal, as seen by this Seattle to Gilliam County trash train. The Gilliam County landfill receives heavy intermodal trains like this one on nearly a daily basis. I filmed this one at the first tunnel eastbound trains encounter going into the gorge. In addition to stacked containers, gondolas make their way to the WM facility. Their commodity STCC code is MISWST, which I believe simply means they carry miscellaneous waste. In any case, like the containers, they arrive loaded and leave empty. Almost every train is built 2x2, 2 liters, and 2 distributed power locomotives on the rear. From the quaint town of Arlington, the branch rises steeply up Alkali Canyon following Highway 19 out of the gorge. Let's follow the route and see what we find. I noticed numerous dry creek beds with wooden trestles. I couldn't help but think that these would make some fun, easy projects for a model railroad. The biggest bridge on the line, now gone along with the tracks, was at Rock Creek. With this view, it's easy to see how steeply the tracks climb out of the canyon. Once at the top, the valley flattens out, and a railroad crossing indicates the start of the Gilliam Waste Management grounds. Just after the crossing, headlights alerted me to a train sitting in a siding. The velvety hills bookended the narrow valley as I found the end of the track, and near the end of the track sat another train. And between the first one I saw and the last sat another train, this one apparently loaded and recently arrived. The 200-acre WM facility was an impressive operation with more railroad spurs and capacity than I imagined. They even had a wonderfully painted WM and locomotive. It looks like a snoot-nose SD40-2. Driving away towards the first train I found, I noticed the DPUs were on the move, and I knew that I was going to see an outbound train to Arlington after all. As the train departed, it passed through an AEI reader, which downloads the train's consist to the Union Pacific system. Every freight car in North America's rail network has a gray bar housing data tags that are scanned with a radio frequency. These automatic equipment ID readers are found all over, but especially close to points where trains enter the Union Pacific routes and help update in real time what cars are on their system. And since operations on the branch have been leased to Watco to be handled by their crews, UP gets informed how the train was built before it enters their line at Arlington. Though the operations have been leased to Watco, Union Pacific still owns the tracks. With the long train getting a head start, the race was on for me to find some roll-by locations ahead. Although significantly lighter than the trains going up the hill, the dynamic brakes could be heard keeping the train in check down the steep grade. Nothing screams country more than a small-town rodeo, like this one just outside of Arlington. Along with the controlled siding here at Arlington, there are 2 yard tracks. Whether from Seattle or from Gilliam, this is where all trains arrive and depart from. The track arrangement is another big reason why having 2 locomotives on either end of the train is a big advantage. The only thing that needs to change is setting up the distributed power for leader. A couple of unique things about these trains is that whether coming from or to Seattle, the paperwork shows the cars as loaded, although the tonnage differentiates greatly. Also, almost every well car is single and not articulated sharing trucks. This could be because of the weight of the loaded containers above, requiring 2 sets of wheels. When compared to a similar double-stack train in length, these trains are heavier by more than a third. As you can see here, the rare occasion articulated cars do show up, they only have 1 container per car. The future for this branch looks very bright. In 2022, UP hauled more than 59,000 units for WM, its largest volume ever for this customer. For now, the agricultural business is gone from this line, along with the GP9s and GP38s and hoppers that once haunted these rails. But Arbor Yellow engines will continue venturing out on one of the last remaining active branch lines of Union Pacific in this state, so long as Seattle's trash remains Arlington's business. Until next time, this is Pacific Rail Productions signing off.